Hey, what up, y'all? Welcome back to the channel. So I'm going to be talking about, kind of doing a little review of Playboi Carti's new album, Music or I Am Music. I've heard both. I'm just going to refer to it as music from now on. But yeah, I'm going to, this is going to be kind of like an informal review. Not like I'm not going to break it down like song by song. Just my general thoughts about the album, how I feel about it. And just some of the stuff surrounding it, and just wanted to kind of get my thoughts out there. Um, First, I'm gonna preface this by saying, A, I am not a Playboi Carti fan in the sense of like I'm not a super fan. I do like his self-titled album. I think that's pretty good. Not great, but good. I really, really like Dial It. I think that's a great album. I think that's super consistent. It's got a really good sound to it. The quality and the mixing on it is very good. His performance, is I think he did what he was setting out to do on that album. Now, when we get to Whole Lot of Red and I Am Music, uh, this is where it kind of loses me a little bit. When Whole Lot of Red first came out, I was not a big fan, and I am still not a big fan. To be all the way clear, um, I get what he was kind of trying to do with that album, and I know recently, with the discussion of music kind of being as controversial as it kind of has been, excuse me, with it being as controversial as it kind of has been, and had the opinions on it varying so much. You know, it made me go back and re-listen to Whole Lot of Red, and I've seen people talking about how Whole Lot of Red grew on them over the course of time, and how like they kind of had to warm up to it and stuff like that, and that the general opinion apparently has changed on the album. Um, I'm not one of those people. I'm just gonna be straight up with you because go listening to music, it made me go and revisit all of his other albums, give them all a spin, and I still like self-titled quite a bit. I really love Die Lit, but Whole Lot of Red I think is bad, and I know what he was setting out to do with that album, or at least I think I get what he was setting out to do with that album, but I don't think that he necessarily achieved it. There are some songs on there that are pretty decent, but I'm not really here to talk about that one, but I want to say that I see a big difference in quality and seemingly effort between Dial It and this era of Playboi Carti. Now, for music, I stayed up until fucking 7 in the morning or whatever the day it came out because I was going to do a live reaction to it. I was gonna sit there listen to the whole thing on camera and stuff like that. And it I was kind of there for the whole saga. Of him saying he was going to drop it that night. And then midnight came, and then he said he was going to drop it at like 2. 2 o'clock came. Kai Cenat's calling him. He's saying he's going to drop any minute now. You know, it never dropped until like 7 o'clock in the morning. And by that time, my girl and I, we share an office, and she worked from home that day. So, as soon as it came out, she was basically having to work. And so I wasn't going to be able to record. And at that point, I didn't really have the energy to sit there and talk through the album. So I did give it a listen, and I've been giving it a listen ever since. I've been spinning it a couple times, and overall, I feel like this is not a good album, man. I feel like this is not a good album, man. And I've heard, I've looked into it and seen like, where a lot of the influence is supposed to come from. It's supposed to be kind of like old school, at least this is what he says. It's supposed to kind of evoke some of the old school Atlanta mixtapes, like Gucci Mane, Young Scooter, old Future tapes, those kinds of things. And he also said that he wanted it to kind of have a Wayne mixtape influence, and I see what he's going for. Okay, I see what he's trying to do. I can see that kind of stuff all over the album in terms of like Swamp Izzo, some of the beats sounding a little like lower quality. I know it's on purpose, but some of the kind of kinetic, frantic energy that it has. Um, Now here's where it starts to lose me. Is I get what he's going for, but I think this album could have been so much more polished, and I think that his attempt to nail down that kind of natural, kind of lower quality sound that you get on, say, some tapes like the Trap God mixtapes from Gucci Mane or the Roderick Davis versus the State. Um, I can see the influence. I get it, but I don't think he was able to capture that sound efficiently. I don't think that it sounds the same when you know that that's what the goal is. Because with some of those, like, again, just let's talk about like those older Gucci tapes. Uh, they weren't meant to sound low quality, but there was still a lot of effort in them. The sound had effort. There was a kind of cohesive thing going on. And the quality of the music necessarily in terms of like sonically wasn't always there. Some stuff's distorted, some stuff is mixed not so well. Blah 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 blah. But I feel like that actually added to it because it felt more natural. It felt like like, hey, I'm just going in here and I'm just laying down some shit on these beats. I'm not gonna sit here and polish a whole album. I want to put music out, kind of thing. So I get it. I get what he was going for, but I think some of that attempt at the mixtape quality kind of thing really didn't. He didn't achieve that so well on this album. It seems like less so that he did a great job at making it naturally sound like that, but more that the effort that he put into it was so little that it just sounded like he was making bad music. And that's not to say that I hate this album all the way. I do dislike quite a lot of it, and the songs I do like, I like quite a few. I like Evil Jordan. I like Good Credit. I like Charge 'Em Hoes a Fee. Um, uh, I like Mojo Jojo. I like the Weeknd song. The Travis song's okay, but I don't know. I like Crank a little bit. Some of it I do like. But I felt like the highs were not as high as I thought they should be, and I thought the lows were drastically low. One of my big problems with it is the mixing, and this is kind of an issue overall over the whole tape. It's not that I wanted the tape to sound like clean as fuck, but the mixing was so drastically bad on some songs that some of them gave me a headache. And look, I listen to music loud. I listen to music in all sorts of settings. Like I have a 7.1 Dolby surround sound, Atmos surround sound system with a subwoofer, a nice subwoofer. I have some pretty pricey headphones and earbuds that are THX certified. They're some of the best earbuds and headphones I've ever heard. Actually, the best I've ever heard. Not to say that they're the best ever, but they're not skull candies. Okay, I'm gonna put it that way. And they're comparable and even better. I think I've had Bose headphones. I think these ones are better. One More is the brand. One More headphones and earbuds. And I listen to music in the car. I've spun it on each of those things. And each time there are some songs where the mixing is so glaringly bad that it, like I said, it kind of gives me a headache. And as a couple examples, I'm going to name two: Twin Trim and Overly. Now, with Twin Trim, there is a set of snares, and it's the same thing on Overly. It's the same set of snares. And on Overly is a bit of a longer song than Twin Trim, and the snares are used way more sparingly than Twin Trim, so it's not as egregious, but the snares stick out like a sore fucking thumb. They are headache inducing. They're loud and abrasive in a way that's not like that's not necessarily like, okay, I like the energy from it. They're loud and abrasive in the sense of like, who mixed this and are they tone deaf? Okay, I know that might sound harsh, but it is what it is. And my brother made a point when I was talking to him about the album. We were talking about it, and he said, "Yeah, the snares on Twin Trim are bad, but they're only used 4 times." And I agree, they're only used 4 times, but Twin Trim is like a minute and a half song at the most. Okay, they're used 4 times, like every 20 seconds in that song. So I get it if it was used 4 times and it's a 3-minute song. Yeah, not as egregious, still bad. But that song, I can't get into it without the snares hitting me like a ton of bricks and then just pulling me right out of the song. And there's some other songs on here like Pop Out. I look, the mixing on Pop Out wouldn't make me like the song. I just don't think it's good. I think his performance is lazy, and I find that about a lot of the songs on here. His performance seems lazy, haphazard, thrown together, not necessarily like he meant for it to sound that way. And I know Playboi Carti's never been like a super, super good rapper. I'm not expecting that of him. I totally get that. That's not, I don't go into that expecting him to rap his ass off. Okay. But some of the performances on here, there are some people on here that do a similar style to him, like Uzi and stuff like that, where I feel like he's getting outshined at his own style, and on Pop Out, the mixing is so distorted, so blown out, and I get that's why a lot of people like it. I just don't think it sounds good, and I don't want to sit here and tell you what to think. These are just my thoughts. But the album is also way too fucking long. Way too fucking long. There is a way I think you could get a pretty decent album out of the 30 tracks that it has. And I think 30 tracks is already a problem no matter how long the songs individually are. But I think it actually, it makes it even worse when the songs are not that long. So you don't have time to sit with a song and really like get into it. You know what I'm saying? When the songs are averaging like a minute and a half long, it's kind of like, well, by the time I'm actually like, okay, maybe I'm starting to get this, maybe I'm starting to like it, song ends, and I think that's just that's a sequencing problem. It's a lack of quality control. Again, just the whole thing feels thrown together, and I get that he was trying to release it by a certain time, for Spotify. And because if he didn't, I heard that, he would have to refund his merch or whatever, that, the pre-order merch that people bought. And, I kind of get that, but that's also his fault. That's also his fault. Don't promise people something you're not prepared to deliver. And don't promise people something that you're not prepared to deliver and then deliver it half-assed. It's just, for every song that I like on here, and I don't love any songs on here, to be very clear. I don't love any of them. I don't love any of them the same way I love like a Chopper Won't Miss or a Shooter or a Flatbed Freestyle. I don't know. I don't know. Some of these songs just feel like he threw them together and he was like, all right, that's good enough. Throw that one on there. More pad out the music, pad it out. Pad out the album so you can patch in as much streams as possible from it. It seems kind of like I don't know. I don't want to say it's greedy, because I don't think it's greedy, but I think it's lazy. So yeah, for every one song I like on here, there's probably about 4 or 5 that I don't. All right, and I think that on a 30-song album, I should like more than like 5, 6 songs, just to be clear, and like I said, there's some stuff that not necessarily, I'm not super love and hate on the whole album. Like, there are songs that I like, there are songs that I'm like, okay, this is okay, and then there are songs that I'm like, this is trash, and I think the problem with the album goes much further into the idea of the album as a whole. I don't think that he actually, through most of it, stuck necessarily to that mixtape attempt. You know what I mean? I know a lot of people have been calling this a mixtape. it's not a mixtape to me. He didn't call it a mixtape. He said it's mixtape like. And I think that some people, to be quite fair, I think some people are calling it a mixtape to make it sound less shitty. I think that's a kind of a cop out, because this isn't a mixtape. If it's a mixtape, he should have released his shit for free, threw it out there. To me, this is an album that was trying to sound like a mixtape, but he gave up the mixtape sound about halfway through and just started doing other stuff. I can, the Swamp Izzo stuff, I can see that like some very much like DJ drama type stuff. I get that. I'm not a big fan of Swamp Izzo all over the album, but there are some instances I'm like, that works. That works. It's cool. I wish he kind of would have done it a lot more, maybe polished it up a little bit. But overall, man, I think this is just disappointing. I don't know if I dislike this as much as Whole Lotta Red. I really don't like Whole Lotta Red. I really don't like that. But for what it is, I think I would give it like, if I had to rate it, I don't rate a lot, and I don't know if I'm going to keep rating albums and songs, but I'd have to give this like a 4 out of 10 at best, at absolute best. And I'm thinking really more, I'm like a 3, but I kind of want to, I know there's some ambitious stuff on here. I want to give it credit where credit's due, but it's hard for me to look at the project as a whole and be like, I'm going to give it, certain praise for certain things, even though I don't like the music itself. So yeah, don't want to make this too much longer. It's already been about 17 minutes or so. So I appreciate y'all watching. If y'all want me to review anything, talk about anything else, just let me know. Drop a comment. Please like and subscribe if you like the video, and I'll catch y'all later. Peace.